Hi, welcome to Politics After Dark. I'm Mike O'Connell, founder of the Binghamton Vanguard, and your host. Stay tuned for roughly half hour of politics, humor, and a few surprises, sometimes even for me. Politics After Dark is a look at political issues and questions, local, national, and on the campus of Binghamton University. Though not really anymore. I figured, though, I should say that because I always did. Politics After Dark used to air Tuesday nights from 8:30 to 9 on public access cable channel 4 in Binghamton, New York. It is written by Mike O'Connell, produced by Mike O'Connell, directed by Mike O'Connell, based on an idea originally created by Mike O'Connell, and starring the aforementioned Mike O'Connell. Right now, you are listening to nothing. You're listening to the sounds of nature, coming to you again from Loudoun County, Virginia, my new home. More on that later. A new home. I've lived here since 2011. For those of you watching this, you could be watching it any time. I realized that I should really call this show Politics Anytime, because in the era of watching things on YouTube, it really doesn't matter when it's filmed and when you're watching this. I should also add, I've mentioned this in other areas before. Hey, this was YouTube before there was YouTube. Like, this was a vlog that was broadcast on public access cable channel 4. It's just a guy talking into his, in my case, it's an actual camera, rather than talking to my phone. I could film this on my phone. It's more fun to put it on an actual camera, though, make it as though I'm really doing, TV here. Of course, the progenitor to it all is from Wayne's World, let's be honest. And the idea I had in Binghamton, I must give credit to my good friend John Solak. Yeah, I took the idea of John from Binghamton, and I thought to myself, geez, I could do that. So, as I mentioned, coming to you again today from Loudoun County, Virginia. As I'm filming this, today is Sunday, May 26th, 2019. This is episode number 320 of Politics After Dark. Plan is to drop this on June 7th, 2019. You may be watching this on June 7th, 2019. You may be watching this years into the future. The day I plan to drop this is my 37th birthday. The most recent episode of Politics After Dark, and you'll forgive me if I'm a little bit out of practice, I haven't done this in a year, was dropped on June 7th, 2018. That would have been birthday number 36 for me. This is episode number 320, a year since the last one. Yeah, it's been a whole year, but it was like 7 years from the previous one to that. I'm calling this Politics After Dark Season 4. So let me catch you up on Season 3. It happened last year. And then we took a very long summer vacation of 364 days. And then coming back today for Season 4. If you have the DVD set at home, this is how it goes. Season 1 lasted from 2004 to 2009. That was 288 episodes. Then I came back and did a 30-episode stint at the end of 2011. It actually started June 7th, 2011. More on that later. And then Season 3 was the one day last year, June 7th, 2018. More on that later. And then this is Season 4, June 7th, 2019. If you're wondering, yes, I do still have my eyes, and yeah, it's still me. However, the sun here at outside Guilford Elementary School is blinding. So I'm going to this old routine of Mike wearing the sunglasses, doing the show. I'm going to try to keep better track of time today than I did last year. If you will know, last year's Season 3, there's a Part 1 and a Part 2. The first one runs about 28 minutes, and then my tape ran out. And, or it wasn't the tape, it was YouTube cut me off after about 28 minutes. So I had to do a Part 1 and a Part 2. So there's about 6 minutes tacked on the end. It really shouldn't matter how long I make these things. I'm not confined to 8:30 to 9 anymore. But I'm going to do roughly half an hour today and hopefully get it done in one session. Obviously, it's just one take. It's always been one take. Very rarely has there ever been a second take on Politics After Dark. Only if something technical went wrong. The mistakes and my flubs, they just got incorporated into the program. The thing about filming ahead of time is you never really know what's occurring on the day it drops. For example, June 7th, 2019, the day this will drop, maybe there was some amazing human achievement on that day, or heaven forbid, some catastrophic event, and I'm talking about it as though it's just some regular day. Excuse me. I don't know, because I'm filming this like a week and a half ahead of time. I'm going to drop it on that day. Now, something like that did happen last time, as I said, more on June 7th, 2018. For those of you in the Washington, D.C. area, I realize that that's probably none of you. June 7th, 2018 was a big deal. That was Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals between the Capitals and the Las Vegas Golden Knights. This was out in Vegas. The Capitals brought home the Stanley Cup that day. It was the first championship in their 40-plus years of existence. And the Capitals fever, I must tell you, I never got to be involved in something of this big a scale. I mean, yeah, the B Mets had won a couple championships in my youth, and then of course there was the Binghamton Senators, more on that later. But to be in an area that is so die-hard hockey, and really a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon, I realize that. That's just what DC is known for, front-running fans. And yeah, everybody rocking the red last year, and hockey in general, like hockey writ large, got behind the Caps last year. Just one for something unusual, something different. I mean, it would have been unusual for Vegas to win too, let's face it. But to see its star, Alexander Ovechkin, finally bring home a championship, someone who's played the game right for a long time, been an ambassador for the sport on an international level, to be able to see him bring home a championship and just do something for the DC area, it was marvelous. That was a great time to be here. And then in the days following, as the Cup was making the rounds around the neighborhoods of DC and through the DMV, that's the District, Maryland and Virginia, was just amazing. And shortly after that, I got to do some international travel, including a jaunt up to Canada, where there's hockey obsessed. And everywhere I went, I met people, native Canadians, or people from other countries too. If they were into hockey at all and I said I was from DC, they would say, and I'm just going to do a generic foreign accent right now, just meeting people who would say, oh yeah, so DC, Ovechkin, yeah. That was kind of a cross between Canadian and just you're from somewhere else. Me, I talk like this. I sometimes affect a Canadian accent when I travel abroad, because not everybody likes Americans. But I was proud to say I was from DC, and I always described it that way. If there was any chance someone was going to be a hockey fan or would want to talk about hockey for a minute. More on that later. It was June 7th, 2011, the beginning of season 2 of Politics After Dark. Also my birthday. Also a day in which I celebrate might be too strong a word. My town celebrated a hockey championship. Now, I was never the biggest Binghamton Senators fan, or Binghamton Icemen, or Binghamton Whalers, Binghamton Rangers. But that night, and it felt good to see the Binghamton Senators. This game would have been in Houston. June 7th, 2011, birthday 29 for me. That was the night Binghamton Senators won the Calder Cup, AHL championship. So both hockey championships in my life have occurred on my birthday. Like, talk about a great birthday present. Although, I've had better. Or, I will have had better once you've seen this. This year, 2019, June 7th, happens to be in my local school district, it's Loudoun County Public Schools, who also happens to be my employer, last day of school for students, June 7th. And that has never happened in my life. I would have remembered if the last day of school was my birthday. Like, I couldn't tell you the exact date that, my last day of 4th grade was, or my last day of 8th grade was. Who knows? Sometime towards the end of June. Here, we start earlier, we end earlier. I definitely would remember if anyone ever ended on my birthday. It's a Friday, it's June 7th, it's my birthday, and that's the last day for students. Now I have to go a couple days the following week, but you know what? Job, being a teacher, if kids aren't there, it's a piece of cake. It's the kids who make it fun, kids who make it rewarding, but kids make it difficult too. The honest answer, and I feel comfortable saying this in any public setting, I will say it to my employers' faces, I will say it to parents' faces when I say that, oh yeah, I'm relatively new at teaching middle school, although it's been 5 years. I've been employed by Loudoun County Public Schools as a K through 12 teacher since 2014. It's not like I started yesterday, but I started teaching college in 2008. I did that for 7 years. There was a little overlap there, those of you doing the math. They say to me, which do you like more? If I were asked, which do you like more, teaching college or teaching middle school? And I'd say, well, the honest answer is teaching college. Teaching college is I prefer, because the simple answer, it's easier. It's easier to teach adults than to teach children. It's just easier. So teaching middle school is more of a challenge, harder. It's more of a challenge, but I like a challenge, and you are compensated accordingly. I mean, it's harder, but they pay you more money. So I'll take that set of circumstances, rather, a harder challenge for more money, rather than something that's easy for less money. So I like the situation I'm in now. I'm at a new school this year. I'm assuming now that I'm going to finish the last 9 days of school we have left. We've already finished our exams and everything. All that stuff went fine. So now I hate to just make it like running out the clock. I make sure that nobody gets injured, and we do something fun related to math, and give each other high fives, because my kids did pretty well in the exams, and we give each other high fives. Everybody moves on to 7th grade. I still get to be in 6th grade. New school this year, a few miles up the road in Leesburg, and I've enjoyed the experience this year. It wasn't until recently that I thought of myself as the math teacher. I'm doing 6th grade math. I was the social studies teacher for a long time. But the thing is, and I think I explained this last year too, when I was teaching math at a different school, everybody wants to be the social studies teacher. Everybody wants to be the social studies teacher. Everybody wants to be the English teacher. Those were the two things that I was good at, that I wanted to teach. Those gigs can be tough to get. Fewer people want to be the math teacher. Fewer still want to be the middle school math teacher. Fewer still want to teach 6th grade math. Like, teaching math is all right. And the standards are rigorous. We really are doing single-step equations. Like, it's algebra. I'm teaching algebra to 11-year-olds. That's tough. But as I said, not everyone wants that challenge. I took it on. I thought I did reasonably well with this year. They're having me back, so that's good. And honestly, I can't think of myself as anything else other than the math teacher now. I can't go back to reading essays. Like, I've gotten used to not being the social studies or English teacher. I can't go back to reading essays, and I can't. As the social studies teacher, current events come up, I can't talk politics with 11-year-olds. Like, it comes up often enough in math class, and I could, there's an easy out answer to say, oh, let's stick to math class. Let's stick to math class, especially in this politically polarized era in which we live. Although the thing I always said to that was, it's always been polarized. Tell me a time when politics wasn't a contentious issue in any country, in any land, in any historical time period. There's always public issues to be debated. But I think people are just more aware of it now, and you are introduced to it at a younger age. Now, if you're 11, you can look at the same Twitter feed that your parents are looking at. Whereas, when I was growing up, yeah, my dad was watching the 6 o'clock news, and yeah, I could have looked over his shoulder because we had only one TV. I mean, whatever my dad was watching, that's what we were watching. Try to explain that to kids now, it's baffling. You had the TV, whatever was on the TV, that's whatever your dad picked, that's what you were watching. Or, and he was gonna watch the 6 o'clock news after reading the paper. Kids are exposed to it so much more than they would have been in 1990 when I was watching this. And thinking to myself, wow, that war in Baghdad seems to get a lot of coverage. They're still talking about that kind of stuff too. But now there's a lot more screens, and it's a lot easier to punch in and see that. As I look at my clock, oh my goodness, time flies when you're having fun, right? Geez, what time did I start? Still have the Mickey Mouse watch, by the way. I know you can't see it on your screen, but yeah, it's still Mickey Mouse watch. I've had several through the years. Some of which have been purchased on actual Disney trips or Disney cruises, more on that later. And some that I just realized you can just buy them on Amazon. That's easy. I realize now I'm mentioning the names of several businesses here, like Disney needs advertisement, or Amazon needs advertisement. Have you heard of Amazon? Yeah, that's this company where you can buy stuff online. It was more of an issue when I was doing public access TV, in which I was not supposed to mention the names of commercial businesses. Now I guess I can. I'll promote my own stuff too, but I'd always fantasized about that, though, on Politics After Dark, to tie in the commercials, kind of like how they did it in Wayne's World, or kind of like how they did it in like the 1950s, where the guy would say, like, oh, as I look at my Timex watch, or as I smoke my Marlboro cigarette, I always pictured myself being like, oh, welcome to Politics After Dark. Here I am at the Vanguard Mansion enjoying my delicious slice of Nurche's pizza. If I had Nurche's as one of the sponsors. I was fantasized about myself doing something like that. But now I'll just promote my own projects. In the last year, I did release a new album, an EP of sorts. It's called Jazz Impressions of a Boy Named Franklin. Franklin's my son's name, by the way. And the picture that's on the front cover of the CD, which is available everywhere music is sold, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, etc. You can download individual tracks as well. The picture of him is taken at the other baseball field, which is down at the end of this giant sporting complex we have now. Baseball field, cricket field, that's right, we got a cricket field here in my neighborhood. And another baseball / softball field down at the far end of this park. There's also a jungle gym, a playground of sorts, and up against the side of the school, you can knock tennis balls, as my son and I do. Yeah, my son has taken on the spirit of his late and never met grandfather, Michael O'Connell Sr. My son is enamored of tennis and donuts. And I think to myself, wow, that's the spirit of my own dad coming through in my child. The spirit of Michael O'Connell Sr. is strong with this one. My young son, who I got him a little tennis racket, and we hit balls against the side of the school. As other people are playing cricket over here. You live in an international community, let's say it that way. That's probably the most charitable way I can say it. Like I'm one of the very few white people who live in my neighborhood, and there's soccer, cricket going on here all the time. Every once in a while, someone brings out a basketball. There are basketball hoops down there also, and we bring tennis rackets. So I guess we add to the international flavor a little bit too. Because let's face it, we're all from somewhere. It doesn't matter. We live here now. My son is growing up in a very different environment than I did, as far as the racial and ethnic composition of his friends and classmates, many of whom he will meet at this school in August. That's the elementary school my son will be going to in a few months. So I believe my son's starting kindergarten in a couple months. Yeah, and yes, we start in the middle of August. That's how we get away with getting out so early. And I'm looking forward to going back to the same school. It's been a while since I was at the same school 2 years in a row. So that'll be good for me as well. As I said, it's just a little drive up the road, but this place I can walk to, hop in my car and drive to my school. I did mention Disney Cruise also. I did that over the past year. I'm trying to think of anything interesting that happened. The fam and I took a cruise to sail out of Vancouver up the southeast Alaskan coast, hitting the sights in Alaska. One of my goals in life. I still have the cards. I still have all those cards. It was things to do before I allow myself to die. That was always the last episode of every calendar year. I would read through those cards, see what I had done, see what I still had to do. One of them was visit Alaska. Threw that card away. There's a procedure. I get the card, rip it down the middle, and then rip it sideways. So it's in quarters, goes in the garbage, done. And yes, if you were following along, I used to have a list published in a newspaper. You can probably still get that. It was in the Binghamton Vanguard, maybe 2005. But the original business cards from 2003, in which I had these things written when I moved from my old apartment to the Vanguard Mansion, 2003. It was a long time ago. I had all these defunct business cards because my address was now incorrect. And I started using this as scrap paper. And I would write down things like, buy milk or do laundry. And then the task got more and more fantastic. Fantastic, do you see what I did there? Fantastic in the sense of fantasy, like visit Alaska. And then 15 years later, you do it. I hung on to the cards. And I've gotten to a lot of the unusual ones as well. One was to visit Alaska, did that, made it back. That was probably the most interesting thing I did. Go to Alaska and make another CD. Funny thing is, both of those happened right after this last episode aired of Politics After Dark. The last 11 months or so, what have I been doing? Well, I got a new job. Taught 6th graders algebra. That's about it. But I plan to do this every year. This is like the yearly check-in. Never got the podcast off the ground. I know I talked about that last time. The blog is still there. It's MikeO'ConnellJr.com. It's MikeO'ConnellJr.com. You can keep up with me. That is updated every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If all else fails, well, you can watch this again until next year. I plan to have a birthday 38 tribute next year on June 7th, 2020. And trying to think of anything else in our last few minutes here that I should mention. Same job, same kid, same wife, same house. We are proceeding, planning new, interesting things to do for the future. On the subject of those cards, I keep buying new cards and keep adding new things. It's not like I had a list of 100 things to do. I'm just checking them off. By the way, I had that list long before there was a movie called The Bucket List. People started calling it Bucket List. I always refer to it as things I'm going to do before I allow myself to die. I keep adding things to the list because I've thought about this before. The last one should say, do all the other things on the list. No, you never want to be done, because when you're done, then what are you going to do? You want to keep living. You want to keep finding interesting things to do. You want to keep making new adventures for yourself, because you never know when it's going to be over. And that hit home for me a couple times over the last year. Two father figures of mine, my father-in-law and Mr. Sullivan, Joe's dad, both passed away in the last year. And as I said, they were very much father figures to me and great influences upon my life. We remember the people who've left us, and both of those guys lived active and vibrant lives right up until very near the end, and that's how you want to go. You want to live your life to the max until, it's the thing I always say about jazz musicians too, you can do it your whole life and then just one day you fall over on your saxophone and that's it. You want to live your life to the max, to the end, because whether you're in your 70s or you're 85 or you're 23, you never know when it's going to be over. You want to do it to the max here, and that's what I try to do every day. Keep adding new cards, plan out new adventures. On that note, I thank you for watching today, though if you've made it this far, I want to think you've enjoyed it. I don't really have to thank you, of course. That's just a little unnecessary. Tune in to this broadcast anytime. Again, it's Mike O'Connell. Here I am with you. I used to say every Tuesday night. Every June 7th, I'll be dropping a new episode. Like some people send out a Christmas card. For me, it's I drop a new episode of Politics After Dark on June 7th. It's birthday 37 for me. Not as nearly as interesting, though, when it's going to be birthday 67 on 6/7. That will occur in 2035. Those of you doing the math, it's not 2035. It is 2000. Wait, I can figure this out. I'm a math teacher. I started going down this road, and this is why we should do edits. When I turn 67, it will be 6/7. It will be the year 2049. The same year that I'll be 67 on 6/7. The same year my son turns 35 on 3/5. How many people can say that? On that note, I thank you for watching the show. It's Mike O'Connell, and enjoy your year. We'll do it again sometime. How about next year?